Hello everyone. So today in this session, we are going to understand about the exception handling. So here we will understand today deeply the options and how the options works. Okay, different kind of options when we implement the exceptional situation, when we handle with the exceptional situation, or when we implement the when we use the exception codes. So we have a multiple standard exception codes. Also we may create our own custom exception code. Exception codes we use in the situation where we don't assume. For an example, we are riding the bike. For an example, suddenly, for an example, it shows like your bike is puncture. For an example, that situation is nothing but an exceptional situation when we don't assume anything and it happens suddenly. Okay, so today in this session we will understand how we implement the exception code, what are the uses. Okay, I will explain you, and what are the different options, okay, in the exception code. So let's get started. So we will go to first SPRO to implement the exception code SPRO. Okay, then we need to click on the SAP reference IMG button. Then we go to the SCM, Supply Chain Management Extended Warehouse Management node. We click on the Extended Warehouse Management, okay, because we are implementing the exception code in the EWM, okay, Exception Warehouse Management. We will go with the cross processing settings, okay. Under this parent node, we have the sub-child nodes. Here we have the exceptional or exception handling. We extend this node. Then after we have the different options. We will go step by step. So here we have the defined exception codes. This node is to define the exception code. Before implementing, before using, we must define, okay, the things or the properties which we are going to use. So this node we have here define exception codes. Test configuration or what we configure of exception codes. Assign internal exception code to exception codes. We have the multiple internal exception codes, internal process codes. I will explain you here. Then we have the option maintain business context for exception codes. This is very important actually. If we don't implement this properly, then at runtime with the warehouse task where we are going to implement the exception codes will not be displayed at runtime when you are going to implement that. Okay. For an example, for the inbound delivery. Okay. In the warehouse task, we want to implement the exception code, but if we don't maintain this properly, system will not display the exception codes at run. Okay. I will show you the option. So we will go step by step. First, we will click on the define exception codes. Okay, define exception codes. I'm going to define. This is the definition. So all the process works in two phases. The first is the definition. Okay, I will explain you here. All the processes they work first in the first phase. We do the define. We define the things. Okay, we have the definition. Very simple. In the second phase, we do the implementation. When we use that, okay, implementations. Okay, so here for an example, I will also cover some of the points. For an example, we have one of the form. Okay, form. When we define the form means we design the form, everything. When we execute, when we get an output, that means we implement it at runtime. Okay, system, or we get an output, very simple. An output means an implementation. When we use that define means just define. Okay, so I have the warehouse 05B1. Okay, so I will filter based on my warehouse. So first I will show you some of the warehouses and exception. This is the standard warehouses, and here we have the different exception codes. So we have the change Handling unit, we have the BIDP, partial pick Daniel. Every exception code, we have the simple description in front of them. Okay. So here DIFD. Okay. So DIFD is a standard exception code. Okay. We use for different as charges for inbound delivery. Most of the cases in the stock transport order, when we have the quantity discrepancies, we use this. Okay. Also, we have DIFF, DIFW, difference as charges for warehouses. Okay, we have the different exception codes. I will explain you theoretically line by line. So let me filter with my warehouse. So here I am going to filter, because if I search like this, it will take a lots of time. So better I will directly jump to my warehouse. Okay, O5B1. So with O5B1, we may see here we have the different exception codes. Okay, let's pick, select this node, entire node, means I have picked it, selected this node. Then we have an option here with history. Very simple. If I check this with history in the system, if I use this exception code multiple times, or the other people they use this exception codes, that system counts the history of this exception code. Okay, so we can see the history, how many times, in which business process we have implemented, we have used this exception code. Very simple. Select this, select this row. Then after selecting this row, okay, DIFD. So this is a standard, but this is the warehouse I already implemented here. So then we have must click define exception codes. So I am going to define here. Now see, suppose this is our warehouse. Okay, this is the inbound side. Good receipt process we perform here, goods issue post process we perform from here. Okay, so we need to tell to system in which process, inbound process or outbound process, or in which situation, which business process inside the warehouse we are going to implement this DIFD. And if in case any exceptional situation happens, we need to implement this exception code. We need to tell to system the warehouse workers, for an example, they are using the exception code, for an example, or they are using the RF devices in the hands. Okay, we need to tell to system this resource, or we are going to use this exception code through RF devices, or in SAP system, or in the real time in the warehouse, the warehouse workers they implement this exception code by RF devices, or no, directly normally we use for the desktop, means GUI here. Okay, in the like in this screens, like this screen means like in this process. Okay, or suppose we are performing the inbound delivery process, some problem happens, so in which situation where we use this. Okay, which kind of business process we are going to implement this exception code, we need to tell each and every steps to the our system. Okay, so here we have PIM, means packing unpacking products internal movements. In this situation we are going to use this. Okay, DIFD with my warehouse. See, both are linked. Very simple. In SAP EWM, when we see like this, okay, it means both are linked. So in this situation, DIFD already has been linked with the 05B1 with my warehouse. If I click on the search cell, then here you will see DIFD means difference as charges for inbound delivery. I will explain you this option, okay, deeply. So we have the PPT, packing and packing products put away. When we perform the put away process, inbound process, then we need to use this, or I would like to use this. Okay, or quality inspection counting, then we want to use this. Okay, or we have another option like, for an example, TPT, confirm warehouse task put away, then we want to use this. TPT, confirm warehouse task for put away, then we want to use it. Here the description are similar for three. Here business context, we call this as a business context. business process. Business context is nothing but a business process. In which situation, in which business situation we are going to implement this DIFD exception code along with my 05B1 warehouse. So here we can see we have the business context same, but something is different here. Steps are different here. What is a 02? What is a 05? Why it has like 06? Description is same. Here we can see, but something is different here. I will explain you. Suppose TPT, confirm warehouse task put away, okay? Inbound delivery process. 02 means desktop product warehouse task. Of this desktop product warehouse task means right now I am showing I am working on the desktop SAP GUI desktop. Okay, I'm not working on RF devices. That means if we would like to use this exception code only and only on the this kind of screen, SAP screen, like when we performing the inbound delivery process, or for an example in this situation inbound delivery process, because put away is there. Put away, put away. Why we have the meaning of the put away? I will explain you. See the definition, see the English, they mention put away. Okay, very simple. Suppose this is your warehouse. Okay, this is our supplier or vendor. Okay, we receive some of the product from the supplier or vendor. This is the outside the warehouse. One truck is standing, for an example. This is a truck wheels and this is a truck. Okay, this area, this area where truck stands, this is nothing but a temporary storage type section and bin. This is the goods receipt zone. Okay, goods receipt zone. Okay, reception area. If you enter any hotel, or if you are going to any, like for an example any office, first what comes into the picture? First we see the reception area. So this is the reception area. So in the warehouse, suppose we have the hierarchy storage types. Okay, this is the storage type. Simple. In the real time, these are nothing but almiras. Like in our house, we have the almiras where we put the clothes. In the warehouse, we have the storage type where we place the goods. Very simple, very simple, same. Okay. When we receive the sum of the product from the supplier or vendor, we place the warehouse workers, they place the goods here. Okay, for an example, if they perform more activity, or simple, in the simplest way, first I will explain you, they place the goods here and they move away. So the warehouse worker, they go, they pick, they place means put, and they move, they go for the handle another task. Okay, that's why we call put away. Put the things and go away. Okay, so desktop product warehouse task. In this situation, this exception code will be used only for the desktop GUI, like these kind of screens. Okay, in SAP login, not with the RF UI. So that's why we have 0. Okay. So then we have, my dear friends, one of the another option is 0505 means RF product warehouse task action on source data. Source means when we trying to pick some, source means source is like a from source destination. Okay, source and destination. So for an example, if we are performing the put away process with the RF devices, RF screens, so if we performing in the warehouse, if we activate this, the warehouse workers, they will able to use this exception code inside the warehouse by using the RF devices. That's why we activate all these options. Also we have target data. I will explain you my steps. Target data, destination data. In my like exceptional handling specialization book, which I written by me, and in the implementation I explain very deep this all the options. Okay, and we have the 06 RF product warehouse task action on target data. I will explain. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to just show you first option, which is very simple, desktop product warehouse task. Okay, see, so to select this, first we need to click from here. Okay, So 02 means I want to use this exception code only inside the SAP GUI, and we have a lots of more business types where we may implement this exception codes, which is the which exception code DIFD. Okay, under this warehouse 05B1C confirm where task is stock removal TPI. Okay, stock removal process. TPT means inbound delivery process, put away. Follow of action after quality inspections. Okay, indirect labor tasks inspection. We have the these are the business types, the properties, physical inventories, the processes which we use inside the warehouse. This is like same. Okay, so but I will select here TPT 02. Then I need to click here maintain process parameters. Process parameter means now we will see the process parameters. See, we have top on our warehouse, we have the exception codes DIFD. Okay, TPT business context means the business process we are going to implement. For an example, in the warehouse, if someone pick the if our warehouse workers they are picking the product from reception, they perform the final put away. This is nothing but a business task. This is nothing but a business processes. If the warehouse workers they are trying to send the goods to the customer, so we are trying to sell the goods to the customer, so this is the 9020 location, which is nothing but a outbound delivery side. Okay, so we call this as an staging area. This is also temporary storage type. My rule always say if we have the storage type, it contains storage section. Section means entire area. Okay, or we can divide the section in the different areas, different sections. One storage type could be defined like divided. So suppose now I want to sell this box to the customer. Okay, so the warehouse workers he will come. Okay, he will pick this box, he will do the stage here, place here, then we load, we send the goods to the customer. So these things, receiving, placing, picking, bringing here, loading, okay, counting, physical inventory, or like deconsolidation process, all the process in the warehouse, all the action which we perform inside the warehouse are nothing but the business context, business processes. Okay, okay. 02 why I pick, because I want to use this exception code in the desktop GUI only, not with RF, for an example. Okay, so I select this. Now see carefully, standard DIFD exception code automatically, or we can change this, but system calls automatically DIFF. Okay, internal process code systems. I will tell you how we can define this, or from where system picks this. System picks from here. How system picks this? System picks this from this settings. Okay, here maintain business context for exception codes. Okay, if you see here, so TPT, okay, TPT for inbound delivery put away process. System calls everything TPT 02. Okay, we have the 02. See, 02 desktop product warehouse task. Same settings we have. This is very important setting. If we miss the settings here, your exception code will not be displayed at runtime to the inbound or outbound, the delivery or processes, or we are going to we implement. Okay, for the some specific process. So see, internal process code, see DIFF, system picks from picked from here. Okay, this is the standard settings. So so in first which situation, different to the source storage bin, this option will be displayed first, then different second. I will explain you this, what are these options. Differences charts for inbound delivery. Okay, so system picks from here. Okay, these are the very important settings. System picks the internal process codes from here. DIFD, because sometimes in the customization we must call Coco inside the DIFD. If DIFF not work in that business situation or that case. Okay, so system picks from here. Okay, so let's go to Continue the same process. Very simple. Suppose why we use exception code. Okay, suppose this person, this warehouse workers, is going to pick this handling unit. Okay, this box. Suddenly, what happened? He got injured. Something. Okay, or he came to pick this. Okay, in my multiple like videos, I try to explain through the diagrams how exception code. And he trying to pick this handling unit or this box. Suddenly, what happened? This product is not available. Entire bin is empty. This is an exception situation. Okay, suppose this person, one of the warehouse workers, is trying to unload the product. Okay, and suddenly what happened? He when he counted, so vendor send us all the details like we have the 10 handling units, but he found only, for an example, 9. One HU is less. Okay, that is an exception situation. Okay, and in the real time, for an example, you are riding one bike. Okay, you are riding one bike. Okay, suddenly bike tire get puncture. So exception situation we call when we don't pre-assume, like for an example, when we don't know what we are going to happen in the next. Okay, so to be the safe side, okay, suppose this person have for an example, this person has some doubt. Today's my bike is going to be puncture. Okay, because I'm going to like some not proper like road, so he has a doubt my bike will be punctured today. It could be happen, he has some doubt. So that's why we predefine the exception codes. We have the different exception codes. So if we have, it could be or it may be happen in the future, so we, for the safe side, we use the exception codes to overcome from these situations. Okay, so here we see. So now I'm going to filter my warehouse 05B1. Okay, no problem. I will not put here exception code. I will just click here and I will show you. See, with this warehouse, I have implemented multiple exception code. So 05B1, okay, and I will select DIFD, okay, and with history, every time when we use or implement this exception code with RF devices or with the normal in the SAP GUI, system will count the history where I implement this exception code. System will count the history. Okay, simple. So that's why with the history or without history. Okay, history means we are going to implement this, so system will count the history. Next point, define exception code after selecting. Okay, so I am going to implement this for the 02 means desktop product warehouse task. Okay, put away means inbound delivery process, put product and go away. Okay, that's why this is the properties, this is the labels. Okay, high priorities, low priorities. Okay, so I'm not going to choose anything here, just I will select here. Then maintain process parameters. Process parameters system, we have the warehouse. This is my warehouse system. We have the DIFD, we have the TPT means for inbound delivery. Just select this because I want to use this for the inbound delivery. TPT, confirm warehouse task. Exception steps 02. Exception step 02 means desktop product warehouse task, or I want to use this exception code with the handling unit warehouse task when we perform the warehouse task inbound delivery with the handling units. Okay, or RF with the RF devices, data verification, block destination bin, RF block destination bins, depends. So but I want to use this exception code for the desktop product warehouse task. Means here I want to use this. Okay, here means in this SAP GUI when we are performing the implementing the inbound delivery process or outbound delivery process. Then next, now see, system DIFD internally called DIFF. We have also COCO, we can change, but we have DIFF, CHBA, change, batch. We have the batch management. So if you would like to change the batch of the product, okay, change destination, storage bin location, destination, okay, change handling unit, okay, confirmation correction, So post with differences. In this situation, why I use this? Because I implemented this exception code for the stock transport order. Whenever we receive the product from the supplier or vendor, when we in the because I will show you one thing. When we have the stock transport order, very simple. We have the one plant, sender plant, we have the receiver plant. Okay. So sender plants send me, for an example, 10 quantity. How sender plant sent? Inside the plant we have storage type, we have the storage bins also, storage section and storage bin from where they send us. So this is the plant A sender, which is the sender plant, receiver plant, plant B. This is performing the outbound delivery process. Plant to plant, this is performing outbound delivery process. That's why product will go out from the plant, right? And this receiver plant will perform the inbound delivery process, same as we perform in the warehouse. We have the reception area, we have the finite storage type section bin where we place the goods. It's similar to a warehouse plant, okay? Inside, internal process. This is internal structure of the plant. So, this exception code we have DIFF. See, DIFF means post with the differences. I implemented this for I received the exceeded quantity and Q got stuck. Here I received the system like this sent us, or for an example, source plant sent us trying to send us 10 quantity, we receive exceeded quantity, 12 quantity. And the source plans trying to send us 10 quantity, we receive 8 quantity, 2 quantity got lost in the travel. Okay, so in that situation, handle this stock transport order, I implemented this DIFF. So here now I will explain you. We have the first option, different to source storage bin. For an example, okay, listen carefully. Source, one of the source or pick source bin we have, for an example, 09 minus 2. Suppose I have a source storage bin, picking source bin. And in the system, the source bin show the 10 quantity, for an example. Okay. The warehouse worker is going to pick something product and it shows the 10 quantity we have. When the resource went there to pick the 10 quantity, then warehouse worker, so resource, he found there is zero quantity, existing quantity inside the bin. Okay, means bin is empty. Bin is entire nil. Okay, means source of picking source bin is empty and there is no physical stock or exist in the picking source bin. Okay, so for an example, if I will use this option different to source bin with along with the exception codes, then current warehouse task, okay, with right now under which I am using this option exception code, same warehouse task will become 0 stock quantity because exception code workers based on the warehouse task. So for an example, I am implementing this. I will explain you here in the. So suppose this is a reception area, okay, and for inbound delivery, the warehouse workers he is going to pick, okay, or he is going to pick from here. Okay, so we need perform the picking warehouse task or final put away warehouse task. Okay,